Jackie, why did you see so many dicks today?
Okay. So today, Roz and I went to I believe it's pronounced Mutter Museum, which is a medical museum in Philly, where they have all kinds of shit. They got all kinds of bones, all kinds of body parts, liquids, fluids, you name
Hello?
it, they have it. And I saw a lot of like desiccated cocks.
Who's that?
Desiccated.
Who's that
It means,
famous
like, dried up.
guy? Who's that famous guy whose penis is preserved still?
There's probably a bunch of them.
Is
I
that
know
is
there's.
that a thing that ancients did? They preserved penises?
I don't know. I
Do you think
mean,
they like put it in a brine, like a fucking like pickle?
that's something you would do.
Have you guys ever had pickled dicks before?
You've had pickled chips. What about pickled
What about
dicks?
pickled
I'm
dicks?
Hold on.
Right.
Famous, not famous, but like old guy
Mm-hmm.
preserved penis.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, there's the picture.
I bet there's like a whole genre of this on like OnlyFans too.
Rasputin.
Really? Oh.
Oh.
Okay, so
Lover
Roz
of the
actually brought
Russian
this
queen.
up. He was famed for having a huge dong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was at this museum, but like other museums, it would be like, oh, it's the dong of Rasputin. And it wouldn't be his dong. It'd be this massive dong, but it wouldn't be any human dong or his. It would be like a horse cock that they would just have out and be like, this was his.
This was his. This horse
was
cock
his-
right here.
his- Big knocker. Right there.
Remember that video of the guy getting fucked by the horse?
Didn't he die?
No.
He did. I think he did.
Internal bleeding.
Yeah,
There was a video
that
of
horse.
it?
Oh,
I'm so glad I didn't see it. I'm so glad
I
I didn't
wish-
see
So
it.
glad I didn't see it.
I wish I hadn't, but I saw it.
How did he make the horse do that? Or did he just bend over and hope for the best?
I don't know. And I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Hi everybody.
Hi.
This is my intro that I just wrote right now. So this is Under Queer Review, where we, the three queers, get together and take a critical lens to the latest and greatest in queer media, or the not latest, but who knows, and decide if it passes the queer review. Today with me I have Jackie. How you doing, Jackie?
Pretty good.
How about you, Pat?
I'm shitting liquid, so I'm not great.
Oh.
Yeah.
Matt, when did you write this? Did you write this while Pat and I were on our bullshit? For
Yeah,
like 10
I wrote
minutes?
this like just now.
Oh, when Jackie was talking about pizza?
Yes. Yeah.
And then I cried before we came on to the podcast. I was
Yeah.
crying laughing.
If you've heard of a tomato pie as you're listening to this episode, leave a comment, leave a 5-star, let us know, tweet at us. I need to know who knows about tomato pies versus Brooklyn tomato pies.
Well,
where people have these, because there's different versions.
We all
so
know
I
about
need to
tomato
know.
pie. We just know it by a different name.
No,
Pizza.
no. Tomato pie does not have cheese. That's what makes it different, and it's thicker
But
sauce.
this picture that you sent has cheese on it.
It's like a little
Well,
parmesan
it's
on
like
top.
a fucking, and this is a picture. This is a fucking like sprinkling of that fake shit Parmesan cheese. That I would not classify that as cheese being on top of that.
Ooh,
bread.
ooh, the stomach is churning. She's trying to tell me something.
Are you gonna
time to
go?
go.
Do we need to take a break in the middle of this? We didn't
Well,
even start yet.
no.
Not yet.
The
Not
plastic
in-
container I shit in before, it's actually adhered to my seat, so I'm just gonna start shitting mid-pod.
We're gonna hear all these noises, just like this.
Oh no! I'm so gaping. It just falls right out. It won't make a sound.
Oh, just go. Ooh.
You ever hear wind whistling through a cave? It's kind of like that.
The listener, whoever is listening to this, has come to this podcast episode to listen to us talk about and review a League of Their Own. And instead is just getting us talking about Pat shitting in a bucket.
And pizza.
Patching a bucket, tomato pie,
Pizza.
petrified dicks. That
I'm
would be
petrified.
different. Yeah, I'm petrified. I'd be scarred.
Oh, I'm petrified right now.
Wow.
Thinking about Pat shitting in a bucket.
Well,
Listen, it was so degrading. I hated it.
But yeah, today we are reviewing A League of Their Own, which does anyone want to give a brief description for the listener on what A League of Their Own is?
I got this. So, A League of Their Own is a Netflix show that just came out.
Nope. It's Prime. It's Amazon.
Amazon Prime show that just came out in 2022, and it's a spiritual successor of the movie by the same title, released in 1992. Sorry, he's gone. He's off. Listen, they're all the same big tech companies. Like, honestly, tomato, pie.
Pie.
Starring Tom Hanks, Geena Davis, Lorie Petty, Rosie O'Donnell, and Madonna. While great, it really didn't have any queer undertones or was not gay at all. But it was, unbeknownst to me, a gay awakening, the word that Pat hates that I'm now using, and I'm sticking to it. And a lot of that I attribute to Geena Davis, because she's Geena Davis.
She's like a genius too.
Is she?
Like she has a very high intellect, and she's a great archer apparently.
Oh my god! Even more reasons.
She probably got those good back muscles. Archers have really good back.
She has incredible arms, so now this actually tracks.
Anyway, continue, Jackie.
Oh, that was all I had written. It's co-created by Abbi Jacobson, and I forget the other creator's name, but Abbi Jacobson also stars in it. She plays one of the two lead protagonists, Carson Shaw, who is not from a farm. And this is a very different spin on Farm Girl. This is a different spin on A League of Their Own. There are a lot of kind of references and little like throwbacks to the original movie. Geena Davis is not one of them. I actually was waiting while watching. I was like, will she?
She does.
No, she.
Yes, she does.
Is she the wife?
No, she's on the street and she's like asking for their like autograph or something.
Yeah, that was the wife of. Is that Geena Davis for real? Because I was like, oh, that looks like it could be Geena Davis, but I never.
Geena Davis was in the. Oh well, now I don't know.
Now I don't know. Rosie O'Donnell is in it. She was in the original.
Yes, but I think
that same person who asked for the autograph of them on the street was the wife of Rosie O'Donnell's character.
Well, I'm pretty sure I saw Jeannie in there, but we can look at that later.
We'll also look it up.
Actually, I wanted to jump right into a question that is since we're talking about the movie. I was reading through some reviews of the show after I watched it. I didn't spoil myself. I just watched it and then I looked at reviews. Very positive reviews, by the way, on like Rotten Tomatoes, mostly. But a lot of the negative reviews were people saying that the content diverges too much from the original movie.
Really?
And that it is so different that it can't really be called like a reboot or like a remaster or whatever of the original movie. So I was just thinking, that's all I saw in like the negative reviews. I was thinking, does that matter? Do you guys agree? Like how much... When you like reboot a show in general, or you reboot a movie and turn it into something else, how much does it actually matter to like be true to the original content?
I didn't really think of this as a reboot. I just kind of saw it as kind of being depicted in a similar or adjacent universe. I don't know. To me, it was its own thing. I didn't mind. Like, I loved the world that they created and the characters that they depicted. It's very different from the movie. As soon as you start introducing gay people, like it's already so different than the movie.
Also gets worse when you start introducing gay people.
It's true. I mean,
Patrick,
look at us.
No being homophobic.
No, this is like a good reimagining. Like no adaptation should be, in my opinion, like a shot-for-shot remake or just adhere. So, because like if you want the original, watch the original. Same thing with The Last of Us. Everyone was so upset that the most recent episode completely diverged from the source material of the game. Well, girl, if you want the source material of the game, play the game. Or just watch the game online. Like, there's no... In my mind, there's no merit in just, like, doing a reboot or doing a remake that doesn't add on or diversify or change something about the original source material, because why do it at all? Like, it needed to justify itself. So it did that by saying, okay, now we're in the year 1943. We got a bunch of lesies and gender non-conforming trans non-binary characters. Let's see what happens.
And to follow up on that, because we had actually just talked about this, Pat, on our recent episode of the What Do the Gays Think podcast. We talked about Velma, in which that's also like a reimagining, but the characters are almost like completely different, or they're like similar but like not really. It diverges very heavily from like the original Scooby-Doo characters, and people also kind of gave that shit for that. Is this kind of the same thing? How far do you stray from the source material before it becomes just a completely different thing with a new name slapped on it, or like the same name slapped on it, if you know what I mean?
I mean, I think is A League of Their Own series keeping with some of the themes or the spirit of the original? Yes. It's about the trial and tribulation of an all-female baseball team in their league. If you look at the Velma remake or Velma show, it's not a remake. You're like, okay, is this keeping the same sort of spirit of the TV series, the comics that or the shorts or films that Scooby-Doo is based off of? No. There's the I feel like from the little bit I saw, it like there's no team really because they're all sort of disparaged characters. There's no Scooby-Doo. It's not about sort of like this campy comedic villain who's like trying to get away with something, and then the kids foil their plans every day or every week. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you divorce something from its original source material so much, it eventually becomes its own thing. But you have to think about what are the things that link these two pieces of media, and is there some coherence between them? I think there's a much stronger coherence between League of Their Own the film and League of Their Own the series, between Scooby-Doo and Velma.
Okay. Sorry to give us such deep questions going in. We can talk about lighter things now.
Yeah.
No, I think that was a worthwhile intro, and a good segue, I think, from the original movie into this show.
So, is this your first piece of lesbian or queer media? And why is it that we have so much media focused on gay men and not enough media focused on queer women?
I really had to think about if this was my first piece of like lesbian or queer women focus. I think, and I'll probably take this back like tomorrow or something. I'll think of something, but I kind of think that this is, because I know there's other media that have existed, like the L Word. I haven't seen the L Word, so for me, this I think was the first one.
Lederhosen, for anyone who's wondering what the L Word is. Lederhosen.
Sure is Lederhosen.
And what does that mean? It's not lesbian?
I've never seen it. I wouldn't know.
So what I think it was I think it was an HBO series.
You sure it wasn't Netflix?
Oh, shut your gaping holes, all of them.
Especially that one leaking
especially
diarrhea.
that leaky bottom one. I don't want to hear a whisper out of it. I think it was on HBO, and it kind of documented. It was like a drama series, so like Sex and the City, but just triple the amount of women and make it more gay.
Yeah.
I think that this is my first show that centers like queer women as like the focus of the show, and that's like one of the primary like messages is focusing on queer women. There have been queer women in other shows that I've watched, like She-Ra, for example. Like there's a prominent queer relationship, obviously, in there. It only comes in towards the end, and it's not like the romance is not like the main focus of the show. And I mean, there's other shows in which queer women obviously exist in the show, but don't take the romance is either not the focus or they're not the primary characters. Like Heartstopper, for example, right? Like queer romance is like that is the focus of that show, but the main characters are Charlie and Nick, and not the two lesbians that were in the show as well. So I think this is the first one actually that I've seen that queer women are the prominent focus.
What about you, Pat?
Yeah, no, same. It's always been gay men. It's always been just fucking raw dogging each other, and I'm just like, where are the ladies? Yeah. Where are the ladies?
Where are the women?
Where are the women at? And then I found them, and they were just in 1943 playing baseball together.
Yeah. Why do you think that we have so much more gay male media than female?
The patriarchy.
I kind of think it is. I think it does come back to that in a lot
I
of
think it
ways.
is as well.
It's a little counterintuitive to me because for the longest time when I was younger, lesbian women, not lesbian women, but the active women being together physically was something that while society wasn't like celebrating, it was totally like kind of fine because men love it. Like men who run everything love when women are together. So it's kind of surprising that we didn't see more of it. But then again, them being actually homosexual or bisexual or queer, yeah, obviously there are reasons that you didn't see them. But it's surprising that now we do have more male than female representation. But I guess the patriarchy caught up within the queer community and was like, we still prioritize men over women, so you're going to get more cock on cock action. But I mean, it's the less, maybe I'm biased, but it's gay men, queer male storylines. We've seen a lot, not nearly as much as straight people, but we've seen a lot. And it's getting boring. And I need something else in my life. It's gay men are tired and played out and flops.
Yeah.
And now I've got this show which has given me great plot lines, great storytelling, and all the men were just second to these wonderful ladies.
Good.
Good.
Good. Get those men out of there. We don't want them. There was like one gay male kiss in the show, and the rest was all lesies, and I love it.
Oh my god, yes. And when they're in the bar and they're like, even the Bat Boy, and they're all like, the Bat Boy.
And he's over there just getting tongued
like,
down.
what? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too. He's just waving.
Yeah. But I do think this is interesting because I think we see a lot of echoes of this outside of media. The first thing that came to mind when I saw this question was the amount of male gay bars versus female or lesbian bars. Like you see the echoes of, I think a lot of it can be patriarchy or misogyny or women being, I don't know, more in the queer shadows. I don't know, but I see this a lot.
The amount of gay men that I know, that I even think of as my friends, that will say they don't like a lot of women being at gay bars.
Yeah.
Like, well, why not? They're like, well, because I'm not
looking
for women. And I'm like, so you go out every night just trying to get cock? And they're like, well, not every night. And I was like, shouldn't you be happy that the community at large has a safe space to be, that we're not getting like murdered, we're not getting persecuted out? Well, we sometimes
not getting raided by the police in 1943.
Not getting raided in the police in 1943. Like, I don't, and I was like, because especially in New York City, I was like, can you name one lesbian bar? And they're like, not really. And I'm like, so why can't they just hang out at the, why is it such a, they're like, well, I'm like, you guys have a problem. That's that's a level of, I don't maybe want to say internalized homophobia, because I mean, that could be it, but that's a little heavy. It's like an internalized remnant of misogyny from a patriarchal society that queer men thought that they were above because they were queer, but it's like all the queer white men that are racist internally but don't want to identify it in the queer community because they're like, oh, we're all above that, but don't come to our spaces and don't, like, you know.
Yeah, they're not above it.
Yeah, you really have to it's 2023. It's time to get self-introspective.
I would 100% agree with that. And I think it's hard to see what is essentially selfishness coming into play in spaces that are meant to elevate and uplift our queer brother and sisters and non-binary folk to, you know, just have a good time and be amongst each other. And I want to see in 2023, this is off topic, more lesbian bars. Lesbians, I'm calling on you to go and invade any gay bar. Just fucking go there, plant a flag, get a flag, just fucking plant it on the ground and say, you know what? All fags welcome.
Let's start a lesbian bar. Let's it.
Start a lesbian bar.
I think that's a tall order for us. It's a very tall order.
2023.
Let's get Roz involved. Let's get Roz involved.
We're gonna get the gears going.
Yeah.
Calling all lesbians.
I have heard though that the queue has now been a little more diverse, so that's nice.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe I won't get groped the next time I go there.
Oh, you'll probably still get groped.
I probably will, but I'll probably also.
No one's ever fucking groping me.
Man does that again.
Why is everyone groping
you?
I'm
sorry. I'll just pass them to you next time.
Oh
so you know what? You wanna go fondle? That one right there. That loose fag over there.
Loose meat sandwiches, open manhole.
Careful, don't fall in. Yeah.
Wow, I'm amazed by this.
Yep.
No one ever fondles me either, Pat, so it's fine. I'm just gonna go in and start singing this show's praises, though. I'm gonna go in and answer the question: what did this media do well?
Yeah.
First of all, it did an excellent job of teaching like the person watching about that time period, because like back then, obviously with the way it's portrayed, it was almost illegal to be queer, even though it's probably not literally illegal. They were still persecuted. There's still police brutality. There's a lot of shame behind being queer at that time, and we grew up in a much more like accepting society. Still not very accepting for some people, but for the most part, we grew up in the society where everyone is mostly accepting of us. But then you go back in time and you watch this story, and you're like, oh my god, like this is not how it always was. And I think it's very important to tell that story, because people like us could potentially forget like what people in the past have gone through, and we don't want history to repeat itself. So I thought it was very good at telling that story.
Do you think well, this kind of attaches to another. Wait, okay, let me yeah, so I don't think it might have been illegal to actually be a gay or a lesbian, but I think the acts were illegal. Like because they were talking about after the raid scene or whatever, that one of them was picked up by the police, and they were gonna like, they used some phrase like indecent behavior or like social disruption, or some like fluffy airy terms to sort of just catch all with queerness instead. Do you think that because you had Carson and you had her girlfriend whose name escapes me,
Greta,
they had two very different ideas of how to operate within the society as queer women. Greta was very reserved because of past trauma, whereas Carson was very much like, I'm new at this, I just want to go out and have fun. Do you think that we kind of take that for granted now because of the society we live in today? Do you think that stuff is still important, especially for other members of the queer community besides like the predominantly gay and lesbian people who can exist sort of freely without open persecution most of the time?
I think having watched this show, I think it did make me reflect on certain privileges that we have for living in our time, in our society, that riddled with the problems that it has, that I can go out to the store looking like how I look and not worried that I will be...
Because you're just so hot.
I'm just so fucking hot. I melt. When I go down the fucking frozen food aisle, everything melts. Everything melts. I can't help it. But that I won't be persecuted. There are times of discomfort. Like, it actually just happened today when I was on the train. There was like young people who I don't think had seen gay people before. And I think we're trying to take photos of
they're trying to take photos of you? Oh.
I really think no. Like, they were like trying to like angle, and they kept turning to look at us, and they were like doing the whole up and down thing. And at some point I just made eye contact and just stared back. But I digress.
Lesbians, look over there.
Lol. I think we can take it for granted. And I was glad to have a media that in so many ways is positive and made me reflect and appreciate what we have and continue to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
Lol.
Lol, lesbian.
Lol.
Matt, I mean, you have a different lived experience than Jackie does as just a gay, regular old gay white man.
Oh, yeah.
Just the most boring, pedantic, regular old cookie cutter fag. When you started going out, when you came out, were you like gung ho and ready? Like, you were like, I gotta get out there. I want to go to like a bar. I want to like have my first kiss. I want to have my first whatever.
Oh, I very much had to ease my way into it. I probably talked about this before. on potentially the What Did the Gays Think podcast, just in general. But when I came out, like, I was not ready at all to, like, be in a queer relationship. I had to teach myself that it was okay to be in a queer relationship because I wasn't even there yet. I had to let myself get there, and it took a while. It took like a year or something. I don't know.
Well, how about other stuff though? Like not just relationships, but like experiencing queer things, queer culture.
I don't even think I did that until like I had to ease my way into that as well.
Gotcha.
It could be jaunting.
Jaunting.
Daunting? Jaunting?
Daunting.
Daunting?
A jaunt is like a walk, I think. Like going for a jaunt.
I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah.
You mean daunting?
Maybe I mean daunting. Yeah. I
Maybe.
just replaced it with the J.
But yeah, I think
Amazon.
isn't it so kind of sad though that you have this period piece, and then you have 2023 or whenever we came out earlier, like in the mid I don't know 2010s whatever, I don't know when we all came out respectively. But isn't it sad that you have something from decades ago and now, and people come out and they still have this trepidation, like. So like Carson obviously had trepidation when she first came out, starting to like have feelings for Greta, but then when she kind of didn't accept it, she was just like, I gotta go. And Greta's like, you don't understand. It's hard out here for us bitches. And today, I mean, a lot of members of our community still have that, but for us in particular, living where we live, being the members of the community that we are, presenting as we do, we don't have as many like real threats to us. We still have some, but not as many, and we still are like anxious about it and are worried and are like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I have to take this slow. Maybe I have to be coded. Maybe I have to like do this online with like a fake username and a picture of like I don't know, Ivanka Trump. What? My balls?
Yeah, your balls. I don't know.
Who's putting that on Sniffies?
I don't know what. No, you just said a site. You're making a profile that sounds like you're signing up for Grindr, and you're just
Sniffy.
using your balls.
Grindr, you can't put your balls, but Sniffies you can.
Okay, well,
send me a testy pic, please. Testy pic.
Isn't that so sad though? No matter how far we've come, there's like, no matter what, it's like there's still so much like traumatic history within the queer community that even if you come out now, I mean, I don't know about right now because I'm not that young. But if you come out now, there may even still be people who have that sort of like, oh God, oh no, gay.
I mean, it's still not an easy thing to deal with.
So sad.
I mean, being a gay cis white man is really not that difficult, honestly.
It's not. Well, depending on where you live, wait, let's contextualize that, because if you are a gay white man living in a family that's super religious and hates gay people and like will potentially be violent against you, totally. But we're talking about at large, out of everyone in the queer community.
Generally speaking, it is not that difficult, especially if you could pass as a straight man as well. Like you could just coast.
I just keep my mouth shut and then no one knows.
Coast. Keep your other hole shut.
The moment I start talking, they're like, back.
Anyway, I don't remember where we were in terms of the topics of the show, but I did also want to say that I don't usually like sports things, so I was a little bit apprehensive coming into this show because I knew it was going to be about baseball, and I was like, I don't know, because I never like sports things. The way that this show, though, made me sit there and root for this team. Like, these bitches better get that score. Like, I was sitting there rooting for them. I was like, I'm turning into a straight man, like rooting for a baseball team. I was like,
these softball like dykes better win.
You got the foam finger. You've got like the big hat with the two beers and the straw.
Yeah, just the peaches. Yeah,
I transformed into a classic like football straight man fan. Oh my goodness, I was living for it though. I really was.
It depicts it very, very well.
Jackie, what do you think the show did very well?
Oh man, I have like a whole laundry list. Which I think
we're not at the laundromat.
No, I'm so sorry. It's coins only. I think this show does so many things well, and to go through all of them would be tedious. But one of the things that I was really able to appreciate was the balance of comedy against drama. I think it really did that. It really excelled at that, and used it to its advantage at so many moments. There were so many times where I think they could have inserted, had a dramatic moment and inserted like a lol, but they didn't.
Lamau.
And the level of sincerity of those dramatic moments was just so juicy and savory. I ate it up. I had a spoon. It was delicious.
Ate it up, licked it up.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite lesbian?
Well, wait, what about you?
Oh, well listen, we have a long way to go. And I think both of you said what I agree. I agree with everything. I loved it. I live, laugh, love it. I think it did a lot of things well, but who's your favorite lesbian?
Oh man, I
Greta.
actually I started writing them down. I'm like, I'm basically just listing the cast.
You just went on their IMDb.
I just fucking am rattling them off. Yeah, Jess was one of my favorites. She was one of my favorites.
Jess?
Jess was the one who was always with oh shoot, I forget her first name, but they called her the Spanish striker, even though she was not Spanish.
Right.
Yeah, Jess was the
Lupe,
other one at the raid, or before the raid, at the bar with Lupe, and she had like the short blonde brown hair,
long blonde hair.
Oh, long, but she pulled it back, right?
She had it braided back.
Yeah, and then she had like always some more masculine presenting clothing.
She always had a cigarette tucked behind her ear.
Yeah, I know who we're talking about.
Yeah. She was one of my favorites.
I know why.
Why?
I know why.
She's not my type at all, but okay.
Oh, really?
No. I don't find her like super attractive, but I really like her.
She's an ugly whore. Great.
No, I just mean. Okay, Matt. I just mean.
I didn't say anything.
No, Jackie was saying like ignoring Pat.
Oh.
On to Matt.
No, I was going back to something else. I thought I really appreciated her perceptiveness and her care towards Esty, the young girl who could not speak English. I thought she was really sweet. Like when they get a flat or whatever, and just is like, I need something to go fix it, and she really just left them to figure out their shit. I thought that was really great. But I mean, honestly, like again, I could honestly say the whole cast. Clance. Anytime Clance says anything. Anytime anyone in this show says, "Oh my god," it's
oh my god,
it's delivered.
Which one was Clance?
Clance was the best friend of Maxine.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, I love her. Yeah, she's
so great.
Open up the IMDb, Matt. Come on.
I'm sorry, I'm really not good at names. Today when I was going over the notes, I was like, "Who's Carson?"
I remember that. What did you keep calling her, Pat? One of you kept calling her not like something totally.
Oh yeah.
Was that you?
I couldn't remember her name at first, but I think it was like because her name is Shaw, and I think I kept messing up that.
I forget.
Car daughter. Not Carson.
Car daughter. But what about your guys? What were your favorite characters?
Greta.
Lesbians. Greta. Oh, that's right, Greta. Pat.
I just love Darcy Carden, but yeah.
Oh, Darcy Carden is Darcy Carden has this sort of like sort of old Hollywood beauty, like a 40s, 30s woman. Like she does. She had like just her like big, she got brown brunette hair.
Yeah, like auburn
coiffed
hair.
up, and then she's got her red lip. She's super tall. Yeah. She's just like she's so beautiful.
I know.
She's so beautiful.
Gorgeous.
She's also a great actor, so I don't want to just reduce her down to her looks, but damn, that woman.
And I liked usually when they do like a lot of romance type stories where they focus on one character, in this case Carson, they give the main character the most character arc and character growth, and they kind of ignore the other person in the relationship as kind of like the person who's figured it all out. You know, they understand it, but they gave Greta also a really strong character arc, and I loved it. I loved they both grew together. It was lovely.
I loved Maxine.
Yeah,
she was lovely
which
too.
Leads into the next point about the two plots and the two main characters. And I just thought Maxine had a much better plot. And not that Carson's is bad. It's not. It's just that Maxine's plot and character arc were just so much more compelling. Because Carson got to sort of experience queerness in a bubble until her husband comes back. So it's her coming to terms with her queerness, having this like brief romance with Greta, gets swept up in it, and she kind of coasts and then of course has the raid where she kind of realizes, oh God, like this is actually dangerous. Whereas Maxine is a little more developed in that she already knows what's up. She knows what time it is, not only because she's a woman, because she's queer, and because she's black. So she's got it all. She knows it's not safe for her to be in many circumstances, many situations. And she already has like this fling going on with this other woman that I was like, the moment she walked into the not the barber shop, the hair salon, and they made eyes at each other, and I said, this woman's getting eaten out. And I knew it. And then later that, I think at the end of the episode or the end of the next episode, she was there getting her hair cut, if you know what I mean. So, and then Maxine immediately has to deal with her queerness not in a bubble, like in relation to her family, in relation to her community, in relation to her best friend clans. And then of course you have the added layer of her being, more, more gender non-conforming, especially with how she dresses and presents. I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think she still identified as a woman.
She did. She was still using her pronouns.
Yeah, but she was very much like, oh, I like this suit. I like this haircut.
Yeah.
And having that whole layer and having not only female queerness being on display and being shown in a story, but having people of color in their queerness, that whole party.
Oh my God, that party was so great.
It was very, like, not to say Shaw's story is shit. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I just think Maxine's did so much more for me.
I think it was really awesome that we got two very strong stories in one show.
Yeah.
Where they were able to tie them together so nicely. I really love the interactions between Carson and Maxine. It was so
cute.
Good. Yeah.
I thought they were gonna. I thought Carson was like, fuck so Greta.
Cute.
I'm getting with Maxine.
Yeah, that would have been cute.
I thought that Maxine would have eventually ended up on the Peaches, but then they went a different route with it, and I enjoyed it. I liked it.
Racism is too strong.
I know.
I know. I had a feeling.
When I started watching the show, I think I texted you guys. When I started watching the show, I knew what time period it was.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, racism. Obviously this time period is going to be, like, you can't have a person of color in a story that takes place in 1943 and have there not be racism. Like, that's what it was. But I was like, oh my God, blatant racism.
Racism in my queer storytelling in 1943? It's more common
than you think.
Common than you think.
I will say, though, when you have these shows where there's multiple storylines happening at the same time, usually I could tell which one I like more than the other when I just want the other one to get over with so that I can get back to the other one that I really liked. That didn't happen for me in this show. Both storylines.
I thought we were about to hear someone's storyline get train wrecked and just be like,
no. Both storylines. Like, remember we talked about Yuri on Ice, and I said I just really wanted to skip over the Uriel plot line and just get back to like the Yuri and Victor stuff. This time, I did not have that. I was both equally engaged in both storylines, and I was fine with having both because they did kind of happen in their own bubbles, even though Carson and Maxine did interact. But I was fine with, seeing both storylines play out at the same time, and I wasn't, like, trying to rush through one to get to the other.
Bofa D storylines.
I loved it.
Can we talk about Shirley really briefly?
I know you have thoughts on Shirley.
Shirley was, like, the neurotic one that thought she was allergic to everything. She believed in, like, all these sort of esoteric, sort of holistic, not even holistic, but just weird... She couldn't eat things out of a can.
Peanut
butter sandwich. She was the one by the end of the show had like a big deal with DeLuca being gay and obviously everyone being gay. Like she was like very homophobic. I don't find her character believable. I think she's funny. And I think Kate Berlant, the actor's funny. But I think her sort of behavior and her dialogue didn't fit in a 1940s setting myself, but I don't know because I wasn't alive in the 40s. But she kind of sounded like a goop Gwyneth Paltrow woman in modern time where she was like, well, I'm allergic to everything, so I can't eat it. Well, I can't have that. But I have this like weird ritual I do to help like soothe my wounds and prep my psyche for the day. It's like they just took a lot of weird character tropes, put them into one character, and then made her homophobic. And then cured her homophobia in the most like no growth, no real contemplation. She just got kissed by Shaw, and then Shaw was like, well, are you gay now? And she goes, no. And she's like, well, it's not contagious. And she's like, okay. And then totally was all right with it. And I was like, you want to spend this series saying how this woman is like neurotic, blah, 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 but also is super homophobic, and then cure her of her homophobia just by that? Like, I don't think getting past homophobia is as simple as I can't kiss a straight man who's homophobic and go, well, what now?
I think there was
Let's
a
suck dick
couple.
now?
I think there was a couple more conversations leading up to the moment where they have
Well,
that
there was-
kiss moment.
It was Shaw lying at first, saying, no, DeLuca
He
or
had the
whoever is
romance
sleeping with the
with
old
Dove.
coach.
That was
That's
very early. That was a
why.
lot earlier on in this
That was to throw her
series.
off.
And then
Yeah.
later it was like the DeLuca thing happened, and then Shirley was like, well, you see, she's a big old dyke. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
But
Yeah.
there was a conversation that happened before they do the whole kiss contagious thing. There was a conversation where Carson is talking to, what's her name, Shirley?
Shirley.
And she says, like, listen, yes, these people are queer. They're here, but, like, don't judge them based on that. Like, judge them based off of their character. Judge them based off the friendships that you've made.
Right. I wish that had been the catalyst, because that is a deeper conversation and a more rewarding conversation.
But I think it was, though, because, like, she has that conversation. She's like, you don't have to like me, but I'm your coach. We need to get out here and play ball. And if you are able to release your fears, I think that person will be so much freer and be, like, a really incredible version of yourself. And that it's after that Carson goes to talk to Shirley, and Shirley's just, like, going to town on dented cans that could give her botulism, and is like, goes to kiss her. I could see how you might want a little bit more leading up to it. As far as believability of Shirley, I found her, Roz and I first watched this together, I found her really annoying, and I was saying to Roz, I was like, I find her so annoying because I feel like I've known 6 different Shirleys.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think I definitely know Shirley's now, but I'm like, is this like how people behaved in the 40s? I don't know.
I don't know. I could see it. What were
Oh.
you? Were you doing something in our Google Doc? What were you doing?
Jackie, we're having a meet. We're live. What are you doing?
You were absolutely doing something. I'm literally looking at
We have a
it.
shared Google Doc where we have all of our questions, by the way, listener. That's what we're all looking at.
But yeah, I'm happy she was there. I like the character in that she's very funny. She's a great comedic relief. But anyway, I think I don't know. For me, like, I'm happy she finally came to terms with literally everyone around her being a lesbian or some sort of queer. But yeah, I don't know. I was like, well, I don't think I needed the character, to be honest, for the story to be just as good.
I think there was merit in having a character on the team that would have not been okay with like everyone being queer. So I think there's merit in that. Did they need to make her so like paranoid and like so? I mean, I thought it was funny in some cases, like that whole sequence where they're like, oh, she's sleeping with the coach. That I found funny. I was like, that's hilarious.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Should we talk about the bar raid, because we wanted to get to that?
Yeah,
we sure did.
What are our thoughts?
Jackie, what do you think?
I want to hear actually yours first, because I don't think my opinion will be the same.
Okay, well, Matt, what are your thoughts?
Listen, you guys put this in here. I don't know what you want to talk about.
No, I will
start. Okay.
Because you want to. Okay, I think that episode was so well directed and well shot, where it interspliced the bar and Maxine's party, and the culmination of both, and how when the episode starts, or when it starts, it's like, Carson going to the bar, just, oh my gosh, this is a great time, this is lit, I'm having fun. Maxine's journey starts, and it's like trepidation, it's like, I don't know if I should go to this, and then by the end of it, they end in completely 2 different spots. Love that. I think, obviously, it's tragic to have the bar raid scene because it's very real, but I mean, you're doing a period piece. These people are queer. they're doing something the society doesn't want, there's going to be consequences. And I think it's a little unjust to the real lived-in experiences of queer people to not include things that actually happen. So while it was depressing to see, I think it was important that it was in there. I think it was very disturbing to watch because of how real it felt. And then, of course, I loved the opposite end where I got to see Maxine, these, people who are not only in the fringe of society because they're queer, but also because they're people of color, having a place that they could be completely social, completely free. You got man on man, you got woman on man, you probably got women on man, woman, woman. You got everything's mixing and melding over there. And that's when Maxine obviously meets her love interest, and she's got the short hair, she's got the clothing, she's feeling herself. She kind of has a little moment with her uncle again. It's just so it's so beautiful and heartbreaking because you have these two completely different scenes happening at the same time.
Lovely. I felt like the bar scene was not necessary. And I think...
Damn.
Oh.
I know, shocker. So I feel like it wasn't necessarily necessary and was used... Well, I hadn't thought about the juxtaposition between the party Maxine was having and the bar scene. But it felt to me as like a lot of just a plot device to get Joe traded. And while it was realistic, I actually feel like that's why it shouldn't have been included. I think that it actually could have done more service to have left the bar scene as just a nice time. And the reason is, like, I don't think that it contributes, like, anything besides Joe getting traded. Like, we are already, like, surrounded by oppression. We know these things happen in history. We know these awful things happened. So I don't think, exactly for the reason that you said that it was traumatizing, I don't think there was anything that I got from that. Like, I already know it was traumatizing. I already know it's horrible.
Yeah.
And that so many of the aspects that we have in our world now are traumatizing and violent. It was very sad to me and very almost doing a disservice to the characters they just introduced, like the bar owner and her wife, who'd been there for years. And I was really hopeful that we were going to get to know more of them, or, dig deeper into more of the underground, like, bar scene or the underground social lives of queer people in the 40s. So to just kind of set it up for, like, 2 nice bar visits and then it get raided and just use it to trade Joe, it felt... I kind of wish they had worked it differently. Like, the Joe got traded for, some kind of different reason.
I think it also
like
it helps Shaw because Shaw up until that point didn't experience any sort of problem with being queer in the opening, and Greta kept saying, no, there is. So Shaw had to fight Greta just to get there. And then by the end of it, Greta was like, you see? This is what I'm talking about. And not only that, but now my best friend is gone, and it's basically kind of your fault.
My counterpoint...
Low-key your fault.
My counterpoint was going to be that I think the culmination of that scene was the biggest impact on Greta's character arc. Because at that point, I mean, Greta's whole arc was that she was very fine with being queer, but, like, as long as it was in hiding, she didn't want it to be, like, very out in the open. As long as there was a place where they could go where they couldn't be seen and nobody knew about, right? Then she was perfectly fine with being completely queer. And then she even says, like, Carson kind of opened her up a little bit more. And then she was kind of, like, feeling, like, okay to, like, go out in public and do this thing, only for it to be shut down immediately. And then obviously they have to build on that in the last episode, kind of build on Greta a little bit more. But I think it's actually a really important point for her character arc, for that trauma to happen at that point. It doesn't have to necessarily be a bar raid, but I think, some other trigger or some other thing that happens between Greta and Carson could have served the same purpose, but they decided to go with the bar raid, obviously, to show the realism of it. But I think it was an important point for Greta.
I agree. I think Greta needed some sort of trauma, some sort of
She needs trauma. She needs trauma.
Not that she needs it, but it's for her character growth, like the way the story is being told.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think my main takeaway was like it was so violent. It fell out of place against a lot of things, a lot of the rest of the show. I would have much rather have had it exist in a bubble and have been fine with that versus literally watching people getting beaten.
I think it's like a question of like, all right, you have queer media. How much of a real queer experience do you put in? Yeah. Where do you stop? What's appropriate? What's not? So, I mean, yeah, like there are people who are queer who don't ever really experience significant queer trauma. You know, telling those stories is great. Then they're the opposite, where people are just riddled with it. So, like, I think the show really wanted to present as authentic as an experience as it was or could have been back then. So that probably included some sort of interaction with the police, let's say. Did the interaction have to be this? Could it have been something smaller? Probably, and it probably would have just been as effective, if not maybe better, because you wouldn't have to see that sort of violence. But I think, I don't know, I don't want to say what should and shouldn't obviously be in some queer media, especially if it's made by queer people or co-created by queer people. So I think it got the job done. It was very jarring, though. Very jaunting. Very jaunting.
Very jaunting. I knew something was going to happen. Did I say that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like
I don't know if you did, but yeah.
I knew from that whole sequence, like, as soon as everyone's dancing, have a great time, I was like, something's going to happen to fuck all this up. Like, obviously. That's how
the other shoe.
Joe, like, met that really cute girl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
She's throwing darts, and she's like, I'll show you how to throw darts. Get over here.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going too well. Obviously, something's going to happen. I've watched too many shows where it's like, you're on episode 9 of episode 10 of the season. Like, obviously, something terrible is going to happen at this point.
Also, you can tell, like, the camera was very cinematic. It wasn't a lot of close shots. It was like sweeping shots of everyone having a good time centered around Carson and Greta dancing. And I was like, when are they going to get shot? Like, this is what's happening. We know what time it is. We know that's why when it was cut with Maxine's party, I was like, is this a double header? Like, are both of these parties going to end in tragedy? So when when the raid started, I was like, oh no, it's going to get so much worse. Thankfully, someone had a good ending.
Roz had warned me about the raid, so it wasn't that part. I knew that was coming. What I kept anticipating was every shot that they were going to Bert's party. Actually, no, I take it back. Anytime Bert was featured, literally every scene, I was like, "Don't harm Bert.
Something's
don't
happening.
Harm Bert.
Yeah.
Please don't do it." Yeah, I was just waiting for that homophobic shoe to drop.
Actually, you know what?
Homophobic shoe is a boot.
Speaking of Bert, actually, I wanted to talk about Maxine's mother real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in which I didn't find her character growth believable. This is like my one critique that I wrote down, was that I didn't find Maxine's mother believable. Because the way that she's portrayed in the beginning, not Carson, Maxine overhears her and she's talking about, like, I would never want my daughter to be, like, queer, basically. She doesn't say that specifically, but she was like, I would never want my daughter to be like an invert. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. She's going off on this like homophobic kind of rant. And then later in the show, she's talking with Maxine. They're having a kind of heart to heart, and she's like, listen, I've known since you were a kid that you were not going to marry a man. It's basically saying, I've known you've been queer this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how does that make sense when she was like beforehand going on this homophobic rant, but then she somehow knew this whole time?
I think it's denial.
Okay, I mean that didn't really make sense to me. I was like, well, if you knew your daughter was queer the whole time, then why are you like doing?
I think it's denial. A river in Egypt.
A river in Egypt. I think she had a lot of entangled trauma from Bert when looking at Maxine too. So I think it was for her, like a complex emotional wound. And I think, kind of as Pat said, I think to know something is to know, like, many truths about, like, a multifaceted, like truth, and I don't think she had quite put together all of the truths about Maxine, and kept wanting to steer her away from what she thought was the only path of being an invert, which is essentially the birth path.
I love that word though.
It's so good, isn't it?
Sexual invert.
I think that's cooler. I would rather be called that.
Yeah, you dirty invert.
Yeah, I just think of like inverse properties and like, you know, like weird sci-fi stuff.
I wonder if it's related to introverting at all too. Like if there's some kind of connection.
Well, something's going in.
Introvert, extrovert.
It's probably a cock.
Anyway,
Rasputin.
Did we get the feeling that like Maxine's mother like had growth at the end? For me, it didn't feel much like she did.
No, I thought she was gonna show up at the bus when Maxine was leaving, and I was like, she better not show up because I don't think she earned it yet.
Oh really? I didn't think that she was gonna show up.
I thought the show was gonna pull a fast one. I was like, no, she doesn't earn that yet. But thankfully, she didn't.
To me, I saw the mom's, her arc is more of a slow burn one. I did like her arc though. I did find her believable. Like when she says to Maxine, like, I've been trying to give you power in this world because to be a woman, let alone a woman of color in this time period, it's not great. And her reasoning of like, if you're also an invert, you know, like, it's even more hard to go anywhere in life without a man at your side. So I appreciated her character, and I thought, and acting wise, phenomenal.
Oh yeah, very very good acting.
I love the actress of her.
I liked all the acting. All the acting was great.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Nick Offerman was such a prick.
Oh, he was such a fucking prick.
I'm so happy he left.
Oh, I loved it. Oh, I was like, he's just a cunt.
I was like, what is Ron Swanson doing in 1943's America?
Wait till you see him in Last of Us.
Is he in The Last of Us?
He's in episode 3 of The Last of Us.
Oh.
Interesting. Sucking dick and cock.
Sucking dick and cock.
Yeah, that's what I had for that though. What other questions do we have? Do
you want to talk about Charlie? I can briefly mention what I thought about Charlie.
Yeah, what did you think about Charlie?
I didn't care.
No, well.
I didn't care. I mean, I was like, whatever. And then he showed up again, and I was like, who cares? Get back to eating out Greta. I don't care about you. And did he still... Is the thing that he read the letter and just, like, ignored it? Because didn't he have... So he read the letter, ignored it, and then they kind of just go back to sort of being, like, a thing again.
They have a fight, and then they just, like, they gloss over it because the fight's interrupted by SD. I think it's SD being... it's either Esty or Greta being missing. One of those two. And they never quite pick it up.
Yeah, and I'm like... And then at the end, he sees her kissing, you know, Greta. And I was like, finally! And then, of course, the show ends, and I'm like, well, what the hell?
On my first watch-through, I kept saying to Roz, I wanted to hate him, and I didn't. Like, I wanted to immediately dismiss him, but I found that he was, so far as writing, you know, a heterosexual man in a queer story, I didn't hate him. I thought he had some good moments, some relatable reasoning and stuff like that, but my second watch through, I don't know. Eyes scare me.
Yeah.
I hope if they do a season 2, he comes out as gay. That's just me.
I hope in season 2. Well, I wrote a section for that, but like, I'm curious to see what they do with him in season 2, where that will go. He was fine.
Do we have a season 2? Is it renewed? Do we know?
No, at least not when I last looked. It was not renewed.
Checking.
I'm mad about it.
I know.
How they gave... They gave Heartstopper about 2 white men getting together. They've renewed that shit, like, within a month or something like that for season 2.
Oh, well, it's a show about women. It's many
Exactly.
Women. And some women of color. So they're going to take
women of color. Queer women.
Yeah.
It's also a different it's also a different platform. It's also a different platform and has I think
it is different.
Heartstopper has a lower budget, like overall. So
well,
I'm not saying it's a good reason. I'm just saying there are reasons.
Okay.
Don't worry. Heartstopper's gonna get a second season, highly. And Netflix is gonna automatically cancel it for no reason at all. Like it does all of its good shows.
Oh my god! It absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope we get a new season. I really want to see where we're going.
I really hope.
Do we get another baseball season, or is there going to be another competition? Are the Peaches going to win? Is Joe going to be on the Peaches? I don't know. Can I just say, I don't know if we did our favorite scenes. My favorite scene...
I was gonna ask about that.
Oh, okay. My favorite scene was when Joe... It's basically the last scene of the fucking show. Joe, like, breaks her fucking leg on the battlefield.
She's at war. She's at war.
Sorry, on the baseball
mama.
field. She breaks her fucking leg. And the entire Peaches team gets up and helps her across home plate. I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I teared up. I did.
You cried? Wait, did it leave your eye, or was it just
crying?
It didn't leave my eye. It was
There's
just
no crying in baseball.
You guys, you should watch the movie. You should watch the movie.
I didn't cry, although that scene was very nice.
That scene was very nice. Oh, I gotta scroll to my... Oh, man.
I think my favorite scene or sequence, let me think. I mean, the bar one being intercut Maxine is, I think, from a directing, is amazing. Excuse me, my Giardia is making me yawn. I think... I don't know. I mean, Carson going to the bar the first time with Lupe and what's her name?
So fucking funny.
How
Lupe and Jess.
Carson kind of just didn't realize that everyone around them was a lesbian or gay or queer. Like, now it's like a joke in modern society. Like, oh, all female-led sports, they're all a bunch of lesies and whatever. Big dyke city. But I think... back then, how she didn't realize, and then she's like, "Oh my god, what? Oh my god, who?" I thought that was hilarious, and I thought it was, I don't know, it's charming because she's played off as this quote unquote farm girl, even though she's not from a farm, but she is a small town girl, so it's funny.
Yeah, she's not from a farm, but they play off her naivete very well.
Yeah.
I had a few things written down. I'll just go through them briefly. But in the last episode, Greta telling Carson that she's hiding and to find a way to show up, I thought that was a fantastic interaction between them. That's after Charlie's like there and kind of fucking up Carson's head about being a coach. The scene between Bert and Max when Max shows up wearing the suit and Bert says to Max something along the lines of like, "Oh, you're wearing the pants and the shirt, but where's the rest of the suit?" And Max has this really great answer of like, everyone always wants me to be a different version like of myself, and this is how I wanted to wear it. And I think that was a wonderful victory.
Good scene.
Yeah, for
Chef's kiss.
Max. Chef's kiss. For me personally, because I saw the movie, I grew up loving the movie. As I said, it was a awakening.
Awakening.
I love the movie. When they sing the victory song, I think in the last episode, that was one of my absolute favorite scenes. I would sing that song, my sisters and I, all the time as a kid. So it was really wonderful to have that call back to the original movie and see it in a modern show where it was able to help me reflect like, wow, I saw that original movie when I was a kid. Loved that song. Now to see that song used in this moment of a very, very, very queer gay baseball show, for me to be now identifying as queer and everything else.
Everything wonderful. Else you are.
Everything else I am. Tomato pie. It was a wonderful just tie back. It was really wonderful. And of course,
I love that for you. Character growth.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, character growth. We love it. And yeah, the Peaches losing. It was really sweet.
Jackie, did you know going into the show that it was going to be gay, or were you surprised?
I did. No, I did know because I think Roz had watched it first. Then they watched it again with me for my first watch through. So I knew going into it that it was gay, but I had no context of like when it would happen, how what the dynamic was going into it.
Me in the first episode. When are these lesbians gonna start scissoring?
Yeah, when are they getting the fish out? I'm tired of Are these lesbians gonna take off their clothes or what? I'm sick and tired of watching this stupid show.
The haircut scene though?
With who?
Greta and Carson, when Greta cuts
Oh,
Rosie's
yeah.
hair.
Oh,
I've never seen such a sexual hair cutting scene.
Oh,
in
I'll
my
trim your
life.
hair up there and I'll trim it down there. Don't worry.
Sharp objects, Mama. Be careful.
Oh, I'll show you my sharp object.
Did
I
you
don't
answer?
know.
Why
What
is it
were
sharp?
yours?
What?
Scissors.
I
Yeah,
knew it
what
was
were
Big Leslie. I knew Big Leslie's were in there. I knew it was a lesbian show. I knew because I saw Abbi Jacobson promoting it and talking about it. So
But did you say your favorite scenes?
I
don't
did.
remember.
You just weren't listening.
You know, I took that.
I think he said the bar and the raid. The bar
that's
raid
right.
scene.
You did. You loved that, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for paying attention. I love that for me.
What?
What else? Lastly, I guess what do we want in the next season? I guess we kind of already started talking about it, but I mean, the only thing I'd really want, I'd probably Charlie to die.
To die?
Greta and Greta and Shaw, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh my God, it'd be great if they were together, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I kind of don't want them to be together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think because okay, this is unpopular opinion. I don't know, but either whether you're young or whether you're gay, it's like this sort of like, I don't know, like Carson's just figuring everything out. And
Yeah.
Greta was great in that, but I'm like, Carson, now you have to become your own woman.
Yeah.
And when she grows as a person, I mean, I hope she continues to grow as a queer person, as a woman, and I hope she, she finds someone, I don't know, someone else.
Maxine.
Maxine has her old lady though.
She does. She does.
They're both
Maxine's
pitchers
an elder
though.
guy.
They're both pitchers. They're gonna.
They're
not
pitchers,
good.
all right. They're big into pitching.
Well, one of them's big into catching. If you know what I mean.
Oh, Carson's the catcher. Maxine's the pitcher. Something's going on there. If you know what I mean.
I know. There's a dynamic.
How base of a show to be like, well, the pitcher's gonna have the catcher, obviously.
Obviously.
You think they had dildos in their strap-ons in the 40s?
You know,
They must have. They must have had strap-ons in the 40s.
I don't know.
They must have. They probably weren't great.
I'll research.
Maybe like under the table kind of thing, like black market dildo or black market strap-on,
Black
With
market
a cucumber?
dildo.
Like, what do you mean under the table?
Well, I mean,
because
you get under the table and you just.
back then, like a lot of things like sodomy were like looked down upon or like even criminalized. So like I don't know if I would see like a strap-on being something regularly sold. So like maybe you'd have to like kind of go under the table to find one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to look under the table with the dirt and the rats, and then you find your strap-on.
You're in the rats. What kind of table are you visiting?
Well, you're in New York. Greta went to New York. Maybe she's.
All right, last question, everybody. Do we think that
what were your hopes? Wait, no. What were your hopes? What are your predictions?
I'm sorry. Yes. Like I said, I hope Charlie comes out as gay. I think that'd be a fun twist.
Oh my God, gay experiences in the army. He was like, yeah, I was in Nam or whatever World War II?
It's World War II.
I was in Germany or some shit.
Skipped ahead like 30 years.
Me and Hans, we fucked a lot.
Yeah. I don't hope Charlie dies because I think that would be an easy out. But I want something. I want something there.
I want the Peaches to come back, and I want them to win this time. I want Jo to go back on the Peaches. Oh, I wish.
Oh, I know.
want her to go back.
I liked her arc.
And yeah, I mean, I just want more lesbian drama. I don't know.
I agree. My predictions. I think I wrote this down. So I think Greta and Carson will be the in-show version of what was actually a real-life happy ending. No one died. Romance between two female baseball players from the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, Pat Henschel and Terry Donahue, both of whom were from Canada. I think that they could be. I don't mind them like going separate ways, but I think they could be like the long con couple. And fun fact, Netflix released a documentary called A Secret Love that partially covers and documents their romance in life that was directed by one of those two's like great niece or great nephew, I think it is. And they are actually also featured in the Instagram account called Queer Love and History that kind of showcases queer memorabilia and elements of or documentation of romance throughout time, especially, which I think is great when a lot of people would erase that history and deny us that.
And they were roommates.
So that's what I'm thinking they could do for Greta and Carson.
I don't want them to go separate ways. I want them to stay together.
I do love them together, but I see like they did a lot, in this first season. But I love them.
Anyway, Pat, did you have any other predictions, goals?
Kill Charlie.
No, that was it. I mean, I hope Maxine does well.
Oh, yeah.
All right, does this pass the queer review? There's my final question.
Did we do this with the other ones?
No, we were doing scale of 1 to 10, and then we decided we're not doing that anymore. So now I'm just doing, does this pass the queer review? Yes or no?
Right. Yes, because I think you said something was better than Sandman. We were like, how can it possibly be better than Sandman? It does, for me. It does pass it, yes.
Yes.
Yes, with fucking flying scissor colors. Soaring baseball pitches, sliding into home base. Absolutely passes.
Wow. Sliding into my home base. 3 out of 3, 100% passes the queer review.
Should be sliding with their legs spread. And the other one just...
Oh, your box would just be fucking gravel. You have to
I'm pouring down a pavement
for days.
Sanded down. That
oh my god, it'd just be Ken doll down there after all that exfoliation.
Well, and Barbie, they both didn't have they both didn't have genitals.
Smooth, yeah.
But thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Under Queer Review. Do we know what we're going to do next? Should we give a little sneak peek? I don't know if we've decided what we're doing next.
I don't think we have decided.
Great.
Stay tuned to find out.
Stay tuned to find out what we're doing next. I know we have a couple of ideas, but we haven't solidified the March Under Queer Review.
Listen.
The March?
When my shit starts to turn solid again, then we'll solidify what we're doing. And not
that'll never happen.
Oh.
Great. I love that.
It better.
Pat's gonna have liquid shit all year. It's never gonna go away.
2023, the year has just started, and Pat, this is
you can't bottom like this. You can't.
No.
Even if you do, it's not enough. Like you'll always be worried.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Lurking.
I can't take dick
well, that's
right
why
now.
you
It's
just
really
have the top.
upsetting. Yeah, that's totally fine, but that's like eating just tomato pie when you want pizza.
I'd be fine with that.
I know you would.
Oh my god, tomato pie.
Tomato pie.
It's like, I swear to God, Jackie sent a picture of a pizza, and they did. They did send a picture of a pizza. And
I sent a picture of tomato pie, and it's different.
So it's in the tomato pie. When you're eating it and you realize it's pizza, obviously, but when you're eating it, is the sauce?
Pizza, of course.
Is the sauce
pizza.
Is the sauce it looked like it was more solid? Like it wasn't like a liquid sauce.
No, it's a thicker sauce. The crust, it's not soggy. It has a very slightly crisp bottom. Really good quality dough.
Crisp bottom.
Yeah. And then crisp bottom. That'd be a good drag name. And
soggy bottom.
Soggy bottom. Crisp bottom. And the tomato sauce it's thicker, so it's not pooping all over the place. This is what I'm going to do next time. I'm going to get this fucking delicious tomato pie. And then I'm going to take my balsamic, glaze. I'm just going to drizzle it over there.
Ooh, I love balsamic glaze.
I'm fucking, anyway.
I could fuck my bottle of balsamic glaze.
Do shit up my pussy? What are we talking about?
I thought of 6 things at once in my head. That wasn't one of them. But
ADHD, mama.
I could baste myself. I could just drink it. I don't know.
Drink it. Oh.
And then I would take basil, put it on top. And then if I'm really feeling wild, I would get fresh, very, very, very good quality mozzarella cheese.
There we go. That's it. You cut up that fresh mozzarella.
No.
And you fucking throw it like fucking dollars at a whore all over the pizza.
That is just pizza at that point.
Pizza's the way it should be.
Pizza can be many things, just like the LGBTQ community. There are many different variations. There are many different spectrums.
And then some are better than others.
So
especially if you're a gay, white, cis man.
Man.
Yes.
On the scale of tomato pie to pizza, at what point does the sauce to bread ratio make it a tomato pie?
I think it's less about the sauce to bread ratio and more about your inclusion of cheese.
It's like lack of cheese,
Okay.
thick sauce. Thick.
Yeah,
It's also
it's thick.
It looks like Sicilian only. It doesn't look like it's a circular pie. It looks like it's gonna be square pizza only.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was in the middle of our outro.
Well, whose fault is that?
I don't know. We started talking about tomato pie again. I just don't know where it came from.
I don't remember.
Who brought it up again?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Probably me.
Probably Pat, yeah. Probably Pat.
We and Pat actually host a separate podcast. If you want more of our stupid shenanigans like this tomato pie conversation, go check us out. What do the gays think? We do have a Twitter, which we've changed our Twitter handle. Our Twitter handle, where you could find all of our content, like Under Queer Review, What Do the Gays Think? Our Twitter handle is Pride Empire, but the E is a 3. It's kind of annoying, but there it is. Someone else already took Pride Empire, so...
Yeah.
We're going to fight them for it, though.
I'm ready to throw hands.
Matt, Jackie texted me.
Does it say I'm bored?
No, it says pay attention to me.
We also stream on Twitch. Me and Pat's Twitch is What Do the Gamers Think? GAYMERS. Jackie has a Twitch as well. Jackie_the_bananas. Come check us out on there. And if you want to join our Discord, you could also click on the link in any of the descriptions to come hang out with us outside of these podcast episodes or the streams.
Yeah.
That's it. And
find us on YouTube.
Well, yes, find us on YouTube.
Like, comment, subscribe.
You're goddamn right.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And I am Matt Klubeck.
Oh, okay, I'll go.
Go ahead.
And I am sliding into home base, not box first.
I'm tomato pie. I mean pizza. I mean tomato pie. Oh, wait, it's the same thing. I'm so confused. I'm just so confused. I'm tomato pie. You want a slice of my tomato pie? Oh.
Goodbye.
Oh my God.